This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Moreno on this Wednesday, February 19th, as we work towards the final third of this wintry month, and it has been all of that. We returned to racing in New York finally after just about a week off. I mean, I was looking at the charts the other day, the 10th through the 17th. So that Christmas holiday break was a little later and a little less scheduled than previously. Seth, I wasn't here yesterday, but your thoughts on the Southwest?
I like Tapiture, so
Okay.
no surprise there. Strong mandate on Racing Across America over the past couple of weeks. A lot of people were looking forward to his return. I thought, like Will Take Charge, I thought it was a good 2014 debut, a good second-place finish. There was maybe some disappointments. Paganol off the career debut. I thought maybe we'd get a little more from that one. I was really looking forward to the return of Louis Flower, the winner of that Springboard Mile. He finishes last in the field at 12. Bourbonize, middle of the field. That was another one that I thought could be a little bit interesting. Tanzanite runs fifth off of the win last time out. So the top two certainly are going to move forward along the Derby trail. There's maybe some question marks a little further back in the field and some disappointments. But overall, again, both coming off layoffs and making their three-year-old debuts, Tapiture and Strong Mandate, I think look like good candidates now on the Derby trail.
I was surprised at how much like a drunken sailor Strong Mandate looked in the lane. I was anticipating, when you watch racing, as long as Seth and I have watched it, boy, there's just this fool's gold for me, which was the middle of the turn when Joel Rosario, if you were a novice to watching races, you're like, oh, geez, we must be in it to win it now as we are on the shoulders of the leaders. But, you watch that into the first turn. Rosario, to me, was not able to get the position that he wanted. And then up the backstretch, boy, I'll tell you, he showed me a lot of the first start of the year. Maybe he was very fresh, but he was on the engine on the far outside, and I was like, well, he can't possibly last deep into the stretch. But I was just shocked at how fatigued he got. But I'll tell you one thing. I was thinking to myself that I didn't know what the trip notes were going to read for Strong Mandate, but I thought it'd be about as long as War and Peace because he just couldn't get out of his own way. And remember, last year, they extended the Southwest to a mile and a 16th, so it wasn't like the old days. But I thought he ran very well. Tapiture, to me, had almost everything his own way. The rail and the number one post position routing has been stupendous. And the one thing that I really noticed, and I want to bring up stakes racing, everyday racing. On the morning line, there were 2-1 and 3-1. Strong Mandate being 2-1, making the first start since November 2nd. Tapiture 3-1, making the first start since 4 weeks after that, November 30th. But when the betting got done, it was a 5-1 ratio. And I say this all the time, and people, I think, that don't follow racing every day, they get excited for Saratoga. They like to look at races, well, who won, and then they work it backward. I'm like, listen, it's a 5-1 ratio. You have to like Tapiture, or I should say you have to bet Tapiture. You can't, they were so close. The morning line odds guy, I think, had it right. The bettors got it wrong. And I think in the long run, you just can't let Tapiture. When I saw, I knew what the price would be, but you got $13 and the other guy was going to be $4. I'm like, you can't stay in the game. Two horses that close. Horse racing, to me, is very, very close when you bet it. The most minute thing changes the outcome. You have to get a price. And I just wanted to wheel that in because that was the big race on Monday. And I was really looking forward to Southwest. And I like what I saw coming out of it. But from a handicappers report and betting, boy, you had to like the 5-1 ratio, Tapiture over a Strong Mandate. Why? Because to me, two things. They were both asking the same question, starting their classic run. I think these are two legitimate classic horses. And one, if you've been watching Oaklawn, as baffy as that racetrack has been, the rail routing has been great. Now, to bring it in also smaller races on Monday that I think many people would miss. Take, for example, the third race at Gulfstream, which was a maiden claiming race. I liked Unleash the Talent over Now Hear This. Unleash the Talent was 2-1 in the morning line. Now Hear This with Orlando Boca Chica was 4-1. Seemed reasonable to me. When the betting opened, Unleash the Talent goes down to 3-10. That's my top pick. That's a toss. And Now Hear This goes up to 9-1. And you know the rest of the story. But the bigger surprise was also in the 8th race. You know, we talked about it was a nice card on Monday, I thought, at Gulfstream Park. And you had the State Bred race. And you have the Todd Pletcher horse, my top pick. Is 5-2. My second pick is 43-1. I've said this before. If anyone watches this show, you think I have any interest in 5-2 over 43-1, folks, you like horses for first and second, and your price point difference is almost 20-1 ratio. You always have to take the price to me. So as bad as the bettors did in the Southwest, my point being, it happens every single day. Maiden claiming races. What was the field size? 6 at Gulfstream Park. You just have to take the price in the long run. And somebody could say, well, a Strong Mandate had been brilliant in the lane for Wayne Lucas. He would have paid $4, but you play the game going forward. I thought the morning line odds person had it right. I would have liked Strong Mandate a little bit. The bettors got it all wrong. Basically, to me, Seth, they're telling you who to bet. And I've said this, the hardest part in the game. When they tell you who to bet, it's not the horse who's live on the board. It's the horse who's dead on the board. You just can't take 5-2 over 43-1. Now, my point being, I liked the 20-1 morning line shot. So the bettors made it twice the price. That means you bet more, as I've said many times before. So I thought the Southwest was very good for the top two. I think they'll both move forward. But the bettors made one even money and won 5.5-1. To me, Seth, that tells you who to bet. Forget the daily racing form.
Yeah, the favoritism, the strong favoritism for Strong Mandate was a little bit of a head scratcher. Even money favorite. Tapiture, the second choice at 5-1. So they were really making Strong Mandate a big favorite in there, and off, you know, a decent third place finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Okay, but that
right.
Anytime they're coming back from a layoff. Was this horse just a precocious 2-year-old, and now if they're catching up, that just seemed like it
But
went
he was
down
a
to
tiz now, so I didn't have the precocious. My thought was this with taking the Southwest, Seth, and I say it often about these races, the Southwest, the Fountain of Youth, and the San Felipe out in Santa Anita. You have the sprinters who are coming to the end of their run, and you have the horses that I project out as classic horses, and an offspring of Tiz Now, to me, is a classic horse. He's beginning his trail. Trust me, on President's Day, Wayne Lucas wasn't thinking, boy, I definitely need to get my picture taken. So it was a foundation race, and you're taking even money. And also one little thing that I probably will talk about down the road. The weather has been awful, obviously, in Arkansas, and the training regimen, I don't know what Wayne Lucas said. He didn't use any excuses. I like that. But I'm just suspicious. You know, Tapiture was down in New Orleans, had the good training regimen going on. Just the type of thing to look back. And I'll talk one of Seth's favorite Kentucky Derby winners. That was what John Sheriff said about Giacomo that year, that he was never able to train him because they had inclement weather that winter in Southern California. He could never get him going until the weather got better, and then he could train him. I mean, obviously, Strong Mandate was even money. He finished second. He's going to go forward. He's not going to get overlooked. But just in a big picture thing, I thought the top two horses were clearly the best. But I think the bettors made it obvious who we were supposed to bet.
Yeah, and again, going forward, those two look pretty good. And that Arkansas trail is going to be very strong. Yeah. But coming up this weekend, this was at the last 10-point
yes,
Kentucky
I saw
Derby
that.
points
That was
race.
a 10-pointer.
Next weekend starts the 50, and it starts out with a bang, both in New Orleans and over in Gulfstream.
Yeah.
A couple of nice races.
It's
there.
heating up. I think the Southwest, it took years to get graded status. They made it a mile of 16. I think it should be lumped into this group it's going to be, but I don't think you have to worry about those horses. I think they'll get their points. That makes Tapiture the leader in the clubhouse right now.
I think with 22.
Which will get you in.
Yeah, based on last year, he's got his ticket stamped. And so now the thing about that is now they can absolutely pick their spots.
Yeah.
Some of these guys over the next month and a half, if they're at the bottom of the list, they may wind up scrambling and having to add a race into the schedule that wasn't necessarily planned. So, but you.
And one final thought, I like what I heard from Wayne Lucas was that he was thinking of the Rebel the next step, which obviously means he'd be a 3-race, 3-year-old campaign. Let's turn our attention to Turf Paradise, ladies and gentlemen. I have Tampa Bay later on in the hour. In the opener, 870 yards, as they like to go a little different thoroughbred distance for us in the opener at Turf Paradise. Classified allowance.
4, 3, 1, and 7, and these super sprint type distances are a little bit of a head scratcher, but I went with Amir Corona on top. Been pretty solid in the last 3 at this 870 distance. A nice win 2 starts back, and if we could get back to that effort, this horse certainly is going to be the one to beat. Second spot, Blind Magic, the number 3 horse, another horse that's in some pretty good form. This horse has been racing at 1,000 yards over the past 3 starts, so it's a little bit of a cutback. It's a cutback of over a football field, but probably at this distance, that's a significant cutback. So again, on the angle of cutting back to the 870, Blind Magic in the second spot, and then Apocalypto, the number 1 horse. Ran well at this trip last time, had been racing at much shorter distances just prior to that, but was at this 870 last time, showed some nice speed, and ran third, maybe second time out at this extended distance for this particular horse. Might be a little bit of a charm. So in the opener, 4, 3, 1, and 7.
Second half of the early daily double is 3-year-olds and up fillies and mares. Now, no 3-year-old fillies have entered this non-winners of 1 other than on the turf. Going to 2 turns, 7.5 for a long.
7, 5, 3, and 6. The number 7 is Magic Number, and Magic Number gets the selection on the numbers. Nice improving numbers over the past 3 starts, so this horse just seems to be moving in the right direction. Last time out, the best number of those 3, as I said, the numbers have been moving forward, and the last was the best of those numbers, and that was with a move to the turf. Back on the turf today, Scott Stevens sticks, Magic Number on top. Second spot, the number 2, See You at Sunup, in front of my top pick last time, and I've said it before, sometimes we try to outsmart ourselves. And they
all
come
the
back,
time.
Yeah,
some of the times I'm always trying.
They come back and run exactly the same order. So this may be one of those situations. I just have a feeling, as I say, with the improving numbers and showing a little bit of an affinity perhaps for the turf last time, that I'm going to take a little bit of a shot with Magic Number to maybe reverse things. But again, who knows? Maybe I've outsmarted myself. But See You at Sunup was in front of the top pick last time. Have to put it right there again today. And then the number 3, Love Mobile. This one has some back numbers, and the last effort was okay number-wise. That was a claiming race, claimed out of that, moves into the barn of a trainer who's not firing necessarily good numbers first off the claim. But again, I think there's some back numbers here that show this horse, if we can get maybe back to those, we got the top apprentice on board, and there's just a few things that signal that this horse may be a decent fit with this particular field. So take a little bit of a shot with Love Mobile. Second race, 7, 5, 3, and 6.
I will say one thing about outsmarting ourselves. As I got into trip handicapping about 30 years ago, fervently, Seth's right. I mean, sometimes, the one horse will just be better once again, and they would beat you. But it would almost always be the lower price. You're always getting the better price, it seemed, precipitously when you tried to outsmart yourself. Now, I will say, inside of the last 10 years, it's not the case as much. And I don't know if trip handicapping, which I don't think is really caught on, it's too much work, or race replays, whatever. But it used to be more financially rewarding when you did successfully outsmart yourself and have the lower price horses. I've noticed horses now who get beat and come back. They're not the big prices they used to be. I mean, they've honed in on it a little bit better. What I like to say is it's not always what you see on the paper, but it used to be very financially rewarding whenever the old days were. And
it may just be the technology has made it much easier to be a trip handicapper now.
I think that's really what it's become, is that all of the type of information, even the stuff that's more legwork, which is watching races, is so readily available. I mean, to the
not
masses.
only has made it much easier to become a trip handicapper, has just made it possible to become a trip handicapper.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to the day, it was really, you could go to the track. I don't even know back. Now you can go to Saratoga or whatnot, and they have monitors around where you can pull up replays.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the tracks had those going back a certain number of years.
Well, going back 25 years ago, when they came up to Saratoga Live, they had a carousel. It took a little while because there were VCRs.
You're right.
You would go, you would put out a slip, you put your order in, they tell you what monitor to go.
I'm sure that was onerous enough that people didn't take it.
Nobody did. I never saw more than 2 people at the carousels at one time.
Right,
I'm going back to like the summer of 19 1988, etc. On to the third, 3-year-olds and up. Maiden claimers in for 50, dashing 4.5.
4, 3, 7, and 5. The number 4 is Little Earl. A couple of factors in here. This is a lightly raced 3-year-old, only 4 career starts. You go to this start, 2 starts back, showed some nice speed. That was at 6 furlongs. Last time went 5.5. Now goes 4.5. And toss in that bullet workout. So we have a horse that has shown some speed on the racetrack, but comes in this with a bullet workout and gets a nice cutback in distance. I think Little Earl will be interesting today. Number 3, the Van Wyck. Was the last one a wake-up call or was it an aberration? I'm going with the former in here and hoping this one, maybe after 6 career starts, is kind of starting to figure it out. That Beyer figure last time certainly fits very well with this particular bunch, so the Van Wyck gets it. Again, hoping that last was just a signal of some pretty good form right now. And then the number 7, Taylor Marini. I like the fact that this horse is picking up the nice SoCal apprentice jockey who seems to be over here at Turf Paradise picking up a couple of off days of riding. He was there yesterday as well. The long layoff is certainly a concern, but has run well enough in the past that I think will compete with these if ready to go. And again, it was a little bit attractive to me that they pulled in the apprentice Van Dyke to ride today. So in the third race, I have it 4, 3, 7, and 5.
I'll tell you a funny story. I mean, we've had, I call thoroughbred action, whatever they've, Aqueduct in 30. We've had Sports Channel, which is the channel that it started on since 1986. In 1987, at 1:30 in the morning on my satellite dish, I used to watch the race replays from Santa Anita. And you used to be able to, on the dishes, you used to be able to get Suffolk Downs, and they had actually a very good loop of race replays, but it was a lot of work. And it is much easier today from the comforts of my home, whatever I like.
Your Capital OTV bet account.
Yeah.
Pull up any replay you want.
It's amazing, the technology and how good it is. Just one more little step, the HG little step we got to get to for Paradise. On to the fourth race, 3-year-olds. I've looked around, and I thought more racetracks had this, but I got to tell you, Seth, in the wintertime, I am coming up empty. These maiden optional claimings that they run at Turf Paradise, almost one a day, going 6 furlongs.
And I'm going to take a little 4-horse exacta box play of the day in here. Hope my morning line odds hold up. I have a 3, 8, 2, and 7. And you'll have to look because the morning line is right about the razor's edge to jump in 4 deep here. So take a look and make sure it makes sense. But my top pick, Can Do Charlie, 9-2 on the morning line. This horse is kind of interesting. Had a sibling called Matt's Marauder that won its career debut. That was at Bay Meadows back in 2008 at 2 furlongs. That was an early season 2-year-old race back in 2008.
I have to interrupt you. That might be the first horse racing reference to Bay Meadows. It closed in 2008. It might have been the Get Out race.
Yeah, well, yeah, May of 2000. Yeah, could have been.
Bay Meadows.
But 2 furlong win signals precociousness. This one also had a sibling called My Sensation, won the career debut, a little more traditional, 6.5 on the turf at Santa Anita. That was last year. That horse did it as a 4-year-old. So this is a 3-year-old debut horse. Again, I think there's some breeding that says this horse could be precocious. I'll take a little shot with Can Do Charlie on top. Second spot, the number 8 at my discretion. Beyer figure last time says this horse will be very, very competitive with this bunch. And then the number 3, Desert Wildcatter. An okay third last time, despite some trouble. The trainer, however, seems to do pretty well second time out of the box. And there are a lot of trainers that have that. I mean, on the high-profile side, Steve Asmussen and Todd Pletcher even. They're guys who are kind of known first time out, they can get them ready. But I think second time out, perhaps even more potent. And sometimes it's just these guys send horses out, they get an education, and boom, they'll pop the next time. And I think Desert Wildcatter will be very, very competitive in here in his second career start. So again, I'm going to go 4 deep with an exacta box, but look and make sure the morning line either holds up or just make sure it makes sense in here. But I have it 3, 8, 2, and 7.
And by the way, we didn't mention it at the top. I think ostensibly the Breeders' Cup 2015 site has been chosen. In case you missed it, Joe Harper, the president of Del Mar Thoroughbred Club, said that there is some work to do. It sounds like paperwork and stuff.
Thing.
But dirt racing surface, returning to Del Mar, and I think if you haven't been watching DMTC.com, they had up for a while the old turf course getting ripped up when the meet ended, and they're widening it. This is all about getting the Breeders' Cup. And then last night when I got home, I saw on DRF.com that they're going to bring, they have, and it sounded like more work than just raising money and bringing in the dirt, but it sounds like they have some work to do to get dirt at Del Mar. And I think when that happens, the little guy and his mother and I could definitely finally get to Del Mar with horse racing, since they decided not to open on my birthday this summer.
And I think it's unfortunate what happened in Southern California with synthetic tracks, because I think there is a place for synthetic tracks in horse racing. I think they are.
Turfway.
Turfway.
Great place.
Golden Gate has been a very good surface.
The Tapeta, and this is where the people that just gloss over it, the Tapeta artificial surfaces, which are Golden Gate and Presque Isle, to my knowledge, have been tremendous. And the cushion track that was at Hollywood Park was, the Southern California people were okay with it. It was the most popular when they had all the synthetics, so they're all not the same. But Del Mar, going back to dirt, ladies and gentlemen, on to the 5th race at Turf Paradise, which has always been conventional dirt, 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares. I noticed there are a couple of 3-year-olds taking on their elders. Maiden claimers in for 8, going 5.5.
I have it 4, 8, 5, and 2. I'm going to go with the first-time starter in here. I Learned English. Dan produced a sibling called Sweep Sweep in the first 4 starts. 3 seconds and a win, but that was back at Woodbine in 2002. So the dam's getting maybe a little long in the tooth. The following year, 2003, a sibling called Sweet American, second, first, third, second, first. So some precociousness from those two, but again, that's going back to 2002, 2003. A little later on, there was a sibling called Juju Baby, won its career debut at Calder in 2006. So again, when we get out here and the dams start to get a little bit older, a little long in the tooth, I'm a little dicey about it, but this is a maiden claimer at Turf Paradise, so I don't think this horse is going to have to be a world beater. I think there's enough here on the nature and nurture side that I Learned English is good enough for me to take a shot on top. Second spot, I will go with a horse that has some experience, Panfila, the number 8 horse. Again, just looking at the complexion of the field, this is a horse that's started 13 times and has never been better than 3rd, but this is not a particularly strong field unless one of these first-time starters or perhaps second-time starter kind of really steps up. But I think Panfila on the numbers probably is of those with experience the one to take a look at. I will go with the second-time starter in the 3rd spot, Turkish Candy. The career debut showed a little bit of punch early and then faded. Just seems to me that maybe this horse benefits from that education, picks up the apprentice Van Dyke today, so just found Turkish Candy a little bit interesting perhaps at 10 to 1.
Is that my boy?
Yeah, I said it earlier. He's over from Southern California on his days off.
Huge day on Monday. He is, I tried to, at the beginning of this meet, Drayden Van Dyke, and he had 2 winners, and now he's getting, I told it before, Marty Jones Barn, when these jockeys, Taylor Rice in New York, when other trainers start to pick them up in this, Drayden Van Dyke, matter of fact, I think he had about a $50 winner for John Sadler on Monday. He had multiple wins on Monday.
Yeah, I said it yesterday because he was there yesterday too, and I said it, we see this all the time up here in the Northeast. You're an apprentice and you're based, let's say, in New York, days off, you're over at Parks, maybe you're down at Laurel, a little more unusual out on the West Coast, but he seems to be spending his days off over at Turf Paradise. But in the 5th, I have it 4, 8, 5, and 2.
First half of the racing card at Turf Paradise in the books. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network. The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at capitalotb.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I got it. Watch me. Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Alongside Seth Merrill, I am Anthony Mormino, up to race number 6 at Turf Paradise on this Wednesday morning. We have 3-year-olds and up. Claimers in for $10,000, going 7.5 on the turf.
I have it 4, 1, 8, and 6. The number 4 is Mr. Cott. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. It rhymes with yacht, I would guess. But Mr. Cott, nice win in similar event too. Back, I've said it before, when they can get it done at the level and at something in or around a similar trip. Why not use them again? Now this one last time stretched out to a mile and was 4th. It goes back to that 7.5 furlongs today. But the race last time wasn't anything to sneeze at. It was a good race. I just think I'm looking for maybe a rebound to that race 2 back, and we'll put Mr. Cott on top. Second spot, we're going to go to the number 1, Calling a Hard 10. Came in from out of town back in early December, now has 3 starts over the Turf Paradise Strip, and it just seemed like maybe this horse was kind of finding its way and getting a little education. Ran the best race since arriving at Turf Paradise last time, and today perhaps is finding a little bit of class relief off the optional claimer 25 last time. So those a couple of things combined. Seems to be moving forward in good form right now and getting a little bit of class relief for the number 1. Number 8, Gatling Gun in the 3rd spot. Just a pace play in here, looking for this guy maybe to say catch me if you can and try to speed pop him. And again, just a pace angle for the number 8 horse, Gatling Gun. 6th race, 4, 1, 8, and 6.
On to the 7th race this afternoon. We have 3-year-olds and up. Claimers in for $3,000, non-winners at 2 races in 6 months, racing 6.5.
6, 3, 7, and 5. The number 6 is Zoe's Cajun. Pretty solid in the last couple. Both were similar to today's race. So again, I think looking at the last 2, very similar, both good efforts, should run well again today. Second spot, the number 3, Swiss Ski, goes out for top trainer Robertino Diodoro. And the last, to me, signals that maybe the 10-year-old has gotten the hang of it at this level, was bouncing around a little higher, and then came down to a calendar condition, 5 races back, and got through the N1, bounced up to the N2, and as I say, it's just been trying it for the last 4 races, and last time out, it just missed. So sometimes when they move up a condition, it takes them a while to figure it out and get through it, but the last signals that the Swiss Ski certainly has figured it out at this point. 3rd spot, the number 7, Highest Humor. This one moves up from that N1 calendar condition to N2, but 2 for 2 since arriving at Turf Paradise. Went through a $2,500 calendar condition, 2 back, bumped up to 3, and again, stays at the 3, but moves up a condition. However, I think the fact that this horse is now 2 for 2 at Paradise means that we haven't maybe found the ceiling as far as this Turf Paradise 3,000 condition competition yet. So Highest Humor could prove to be a little bit more dangerous than where I've ranked him today. In the 7th, I have it 6, 3, 7, and 5.
On to the 8th race this afternoon, listed as 3-year-olds and up. There are no 3-year-olds in here. Maiden claimers, the optional claimers in for 30 on the turf, racing a mile.
3, 1, 6, and 2. The number 3 is Ella's Kitten, and that's right. This was a horse that was bred by Ken and Sarah Ramsey, Kitten's Joy, and just seems to be in some pretty good form right now for top trainer Diodoro. 3 close-up second place finishes most recently after having moved in from California. You look back last summer, this horse was actually racing at Saratoga and actually was running earlier in 2013 for Ken and Sarah Ramsey and Chad Brown, was claimed up at Saratoga. Subsequently, again, moved out to Southern California and then Golden Gate, but since moving to Turf Turf Paradise. Very, very close-up second place finishes. I think could be primed to pop today. Second spot, we'll go with the number 1 Cintron Kid. This horse moves in from Southern California, so getting a little venue class relief. Finishing positions haven't been too much, but most of those efforts have been in maiden special company. I think the move to Turf Paradise with the venue class relief and in for a maiden optional claiming tag, Citron Kid, just competition-wise, could be in the comfort zone. And then the number 6, Shoot for Loot. This one showed some nice speed last time before fading to 4th. I think this horse has shown some flashes of some talent. I think the jockey switch today to the meets leading jockey is going to be an absolute bonus. So that, to me, is the angle I'm hanging my hat on with Shoot for Loot. The jock switch may move this horse up to a better finishing position this afternoon. 8th, I have a 3, 1, 6, and 2.
In this afternoon's finale, Phoenix Way, we have 3-year-olds and up, maiden claimers in for 5, dashing 5.5.
6, 5, 2, and 3. The number 6 is Spotted Owl, 8-5 on the morning line. And the 2 solid second place finishes in the last 2 says that this one may just have a slight edge on this bunch. Celine, the number 5 horse in the second spot, showed some nice speed last time. And in all 4 career starts, has just shown us some flashes of ability, at least at some point during the race. So I think given this the complexion of this field, Celine is going to be competitive in here, no question about it. First off the claim, and the trainer, okay, first off the claim, no flashy numbers, and moves from maybe a higher percentage barn, so that could be a little bit of a concern. But again, I think Celine will fit good with this mix. And then the number 2, Smooth Bay, got some education on the track last time after having moved in from Southern California. Nice second place finish that says this horse shouldn't have a problem being up and competing with this bunch today. In the 9th race, 6, 5, 2, and 3.
That wraps up our look at Turf Paradise. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Wednesday afternoon at Tampa Bay Downs.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Seth Merrow and Anthony Mormino in here on this Wednesday morning. I just wrapped up a look at Turf Paradise. We will now shift our attention down to Florida and Tampa Bay for Wednesday afternoon. Their opener, a maiden claimer, 20 to 25 tags. These are 3-year-olds going 6 furlongs.
And I'll check it once again, but I looked early this morning. It did not look like a Chamber of Commerce day at Tampa Bay Downs, but let's tee it up. 4-3-1 in this afternoon's opener for these 3-year-olds. Number 4 is No Return, scheduled to make the career debut for an offspring of Put It Back, who was a precocious runner himself, and he has been that type of stallion. Luis Garcia gets the call in the debut for second. Right next door in the starting gate, number 3, Louis the Brawler, a first-time starter with Harry Vega in the saddle, gets Lasix for the debut, and I talked about it at the top of the show. You have 5-2 for my top pick. You have 6-1 on the morning line. Watch the windows. If they make us switch the picks, don't be afraid to with these two first-time starters that I think are just about evenly matched, or on paper projecting out. And for third, number 1, Pacific Image. Derek Ryan sends out this first-time starter from the rail with Lasix, 4-3-1 in Tampa's opener.
Conditional claimer in race number 2, 12,500 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime. These are 3-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs.
7-2-5, my selections in here as we go to the outside. Rahi's Place gets my top pick, and this horse had a very nice effort sprinting 6.5 in a strong pace race, was up on that pace and did end up finishing third, beating better than half a dozen at better than 20-1. Now we get the stalking outside post position. I've remarked from time to time how much I like the 3 or 4 path on the dirt at Tampa. Now we're coming off of the dark days, so you have to watch, see the track changes, but I'm suspecting that it hasn't very much. And number 7, Rahi's Place, an offspring of the terrific Rahi, is my top pick. For second, number 2, 10th Legion, going out this afternoon after a very, very nice comeback race at nearly 20-1, coming off of the June 29th layoff, debuted at Tampa Bay from the rail, ended up finishing third with, I said this the other day when I was on with Jeff Carlset, in life, you think of first names and last names, and there might be some synergy. For example, my first name being Anthony, my last name Mormino. But how about this? Olav Hernandez. A couple cultures might be mixing there, but Olav Hernandez, who won the other day, and for third, number 5, Corinthian Spire, 7-2-5, excuse me, in the second half of the early daily double.
Have a vodka with my burrito?
I was like, it's, you know, it was like Guido Murphy or something like that, but Olav Hernandez.
Third race today at Tampa Bay Downs, another conditional claimer, 25,000 tags, non-winners of 3 lifetime, 4-year-olds and up, going 3/4 of a mile.
4-2-5, my selections in the third, and number 4 is You're My Buddy, gets the top pick for Tim Ice, like the most recent effort under Dean Butler. It's been actually the last couple of efforts, including the most recent off-the-board finish at 92. Now gets Fernando de la Cruz in the saddle in what I consider a significant jockey switch. Not that Dean Butler was having a nice meet, but if you've been watching, Fernando de la Cruz is having a terrific, terrific meet. For a second, another jockey that's going tremendous, number 2, Tale of the Dance, going out. Not familiar with this trainer except for the stats I keep in Excel, and the Daily Racing Form lists 3 for 4, never off the board, second off the claim for 25,000, won by a pole with Gallardo in the saddle in the Tampa Bay debut in a restricted 2L. For third, number 5, Falsely Alarmed, first off the $16,000 claim off of a second place finish, 4-2-5 in the third.
Tampa's fourth today is a calendar condition claimer, $5,000 tags, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs.
9, 7, and 6 as we come out of the trees at Tampa. Number 9 is Grace by Moonlight, who made the debut at Tampa coming down from Canada, going 7/8 in early December, and it was an off-the-board finish, but I thought a nice effort. Has had some time off, comes back in here in softer competition. And number 9, Grace by Moonlight, who is 6-1 on the morning line, I think is a very, very tough outsider. For a second, number 7, Darlin' Diane, going out for Dennis Ward, who's having a very, very good meet at Tampa. This horse scored a victory with Brian Perdoza in the saddle, going 7/8 in a 1Y race for claiming 5,000 back on February 5th. For third, number 5, Gray Storm a-comin'. Ron Potts sends out this runner. The most recent effort was a little regression off of a strong 6-furlong second race after coming down from East Boston. I expect a comeback effort to a stronger performance under Herbert Gomez, 9-7-6.
Fifth race this afternoon, a maiden claimer at the $16,000 level, 4-year-olds and up, scheduled on the turf at 1.16 miles.
Love this race in here. Full field of 10, 11 through 14 are also eligibles. 9, 1, and 5, my top pick, and I'm not so sure if, but it's Gee Whiz, Wally, for Dennis Ward gets my top pick. I don't know if that's a television reference, but this is the 4th career start all of them are on the turf, or at least scheduled on the turf after the debut. The most recent effort is one of those classic cases, for me at least, where you're starting in the middle of the race to run worse, so I can, look at you in the comeback race. Well, today is the comeback race. After starting from the parking lot, using early energy, not able to maintain that run. Well, we're on the outside once again, where Mike Allen is in the saddle. Now, he hasn't been going as well as Ronnie Allen Jr., but he has had a very, very nice meet. And now this will be second time blinkers this afternoon. 12-1 on the morning line for my top pick, number 9, Gee Whiz Wally. For a second, drawing the head, number 1, here come the Hawks. I don't know if they mean Atlanta or Chicago, but Chicago certainly has been doing much better in the last decade than Atlanta. Tom Proctor sends out this runner for his big client, Glen Hill Farm. If it isn't Gary Stevens in Southern California, it's Ronnie Allen Jr. at Tampa. So Tom Proctor is having a great 2014, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't have a huge stable, but boy, you watch his horses. They run very, very sharply. First 3 starts were maiden special weights, then tried maiden claimers twice, raced very, very well. Is 6-5 on the board here. That's a little too short for my liking. And for third, number 5, 1-2 punch. Like the most recent effort, even though the final running position and beaten lengths looks awful, but that is a regression off of the Tampa Bay debut on December 26th. Harry Vega gets the saddle this afternoon. That is a significant jockey switch from my perspective. 9-1-5 in the 5th from Tampa.
All right, that will take us to our last break for the hour. When we come back, we'll continue our look at Tampa Bay Downs for this Wednesday afternoon. Stay tuned.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're Loose on the Lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., Loose on the Lead, Capital OTB.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report for Wednesday morning. Continuing now our look at Tampa Bay for this afternoon. Race number 6, conditional claimer, $8,000 tags. Non-winners of 3 lifetime is the condition. They're going 1 mile and 40.
254, my selections in here, and Make 'em is my top pick. 4-1 on the morning line, going the popular mile 40 down at Tampa. And I like this horse very much in here. Draws down inside. Just got beat in the most recent effort, going 1 mile 40 yards by a good winner, Port of Appeal. My only thing is, if Port of Appeal was just much the best that day, I would feel a lot better. Unfortunately, I'm only going to know that by about the middle of this race. My point being that Make 'em ran, I thought, a winning race and didn't win. Sometimes, I mean, you get double demerits. You're 9-2 on the board. You're 4-1 on the morning line here. I basically settled on the idea that the winner was just much the best. It wasn't a matter of make him my top pick, giving up a race that he should have won. He didn't lose the race so much as he was beaten. For second, number 5, Ms. Mill comes off of a very impressive 2L victory going a mile 40 yards with Daniel Santino in the saddle at 3-5. Now Daniel Santino scheduled to ride the 7-2 morning line shot, the offspring of Miz and Mass. For third, number 4, Julie Brown Eyes, 2 races back, won the 2L, and then I thought sprinting came back very nicely. The offspring of Put It Back, who has been a sprinter, but tries 2 turns this afternoon. Last time trying 2 turns on dirt at Tampa last February, did hit the board, finishing third, and gets the services of Ronnie Allen Jr., 254.
7th at Tampa, optional claiming event, claiming tags $32,000, conditioned on winners of 2 other than. They'll go 5.5.
4-7-6, ladies and gentlemen, this very competitive 7th race. My top pick is Lawyer Daggett, going out for Mike Norris, and this horse has been at Tampa of late after shipping in from Indiana Downs, went to Gulfstream Park first and then decided the left coast was a better place to be. And most recently, in the Pelican Stakes, finished off the board, only beaten 2 lengths for all the money. Now comes back in a 2X effort. For second, number 7, Guam Typhoon. 5 for 6 in the exacta lifetime at Tampa. Is 9-5 on the board, this offspring of Distorted Humor for the Jamie Ness Midwest Thoroughbreds. Comes out of a turf sprint race. Could tune this horse up very, very nicely. Horse comes in out of Laurel and now has had only 4 races the last 2 calendar years. But boy, this horse has good early speed. Gets an outside stalking position. Could be heck to beat in here. For third, number 6, 8 City Tour. Huge price on here, 20-1, coming off of the Suffolk Downs September 16th race, scheduled to make the Tampa Bay debut. One thing I'll say about 8 City Tour, besides being a big price and being an offspring of City Zip, if you throw out the route races, this horse is 3 for 5 lifetime. I hope we get the big price. 4-7-6.
8th race this afternoon, the maiden special weight event. Looks like a nice little turf race for 3-year-olds, going a mile and a 16.
When it comes to just betting horses, I prefer more chaos than less. I think it makes it, I know that it makes it more rewarding at the end. And in the beginning, it just makes it, I think, very exciting, which is why I like maiden claiming turf races with full fields in here. And this is just an outstanding betting race. 8-7-5. Number 8 is English Deputy. Calumet Farms, ladies and gentlemen, sends out this offspring of English Channel. And I was never on board with 2 turf horses. I think won about 6 Eclipse Awards combined. English Channel and Gio Ponte. I was never on them at the right time, and when I would get on them, it didn't work out. But an English Channel has been a nice stallion in here, and English Jeopardy is listed at 10-1 on the morning line. The career debut on Saturday, December 7th at Tampa. A brilliant performance under Fernando de la Cruz. Finished 6th, being less than 2 lengths for all the money. In the 2 subsequent efforts, tried to get back to the turf, which is very reasonable, not only with the pedigree, but at that debut. Stayed in off the turf first. I am just shocked, dismayed almost, to see 10-1 on the morning line. I'll be very interested to see what the bettors do. 4-7, second, number 7, Hurts a Lot. We certainly hope not. Leal Stables runner, 3rd career start. 2nd time Lasix, debuted at 5-1, ran 3rd, came back as a 2-1 favorite, and then off the turfer for this offspring of the great Smart Strike, and ran 3rd. Luis Garcia, he gets the mount back, and this is a horse that I think will run very well getting back to the turf. For third, number 5, I Will. Sagamore Farm sends out this runner for the 5th career start. This horse takes blinkers off after wearing it in all 4 career starts, where this horse hit the board in the 3 in a row after the debut. Now, this is a rarity where they've had good results with the blinkers on, I'm not against taking it off because this horse showed good speed. I think they want the horse probably to relax just a little bit to finish up better. And I think that this offspring, if yes, it's true, will maintain enough of the speed. The move I don't like, Seth, is when the horse shows good speed and they add blinkers. I'm like, more speed sometimes is worse results at the end. Fernando de la Cruz gets them out for the first time. 8-7-5.
Ninth race this afternoon, a plain vanilla claimer, 6,250 tags. These are fillies and mares 4-year-olds and up, going 7 furlongs.
9-2-4, my selections in here. And Evil Secret, Ronnie Allen Jr. going out for Ronnie Allen Sr. for the second time in a row after being a well-beaten second most recently. For second, number 2, Freebie's Sister. Sharp form right now, excluding the 7 furlong race when it was in just over their head, but at this level, very, very competitive. For third, number 4, Bird in the Bush is 20-1 coming off of a victory for Kathleen O'Connell. And if you've been watching Tampa Bay closely, Kathleen O'Connell is having a good meet, but she's also been very peaks and valley. She is in a peak right now, 20-1. Can't resist for me. 9-2-4.
10th race, 10th and final today is a $25,000 claimer. These are 4-year-olds and up, scheduled on the grass, 1 mile.
And staying with the Kathleen O'Connell theme, 4-1-2. Laughter she sends out, taking blinkers off. Only the second start since April. Comes back after a good $25,000 race on going 7 furlongs. But this is an offspring of Distorted Humor, who is 1 for 7 lifetime on the turf, and I think live in here racing the mile. For second, the hedge, number 1, Glass Art. Jamie Ness, runner, stayed in and off the turfer most recently, has only 1 Tampa Bay turf try. That was really a poor effort after a brutal, ridiculously, I think the fastest pace of the year so far in the turf racing at Tampa. So getting beat by everybody, better than 24 lengths, I think is a resultant of the pace. And for third, number 2, Pyrite Personal. I think a live horse in here for the Felicianos after a 4th place finish at 10-1 in optional, claiming 2 X's. 4-1-2 in this afternoon's finale from Tampa Bay.
And the one at 5-1. Will we get that Jamie Ness Midwest Thoroughbreds Daniel Santino 5-1? That looks a little generous.
No, that's not going to happen. That is not happening.
After going off at 4-5 in the last 2 races.
It'll be a little bit better price, which I always like them coming back, but not that good. This afternoon on Capital Off-Track Betting TV 12, our Wednesday lineup kicks off with Tampa Bay, followed by Laurel, Beulah, Turf Paradise, Dover, Buffalo, Penn National, Northfield, and Pompano taking us through the evening. If you miss any of Seth or my selections, go to CapitalOTB.com, click on the Handicappers Report. You'll get all of our selections from Turf Paradise and Tampa Bay Downs, and also a couple months old now as state-of-the-art wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com, the simplest way to play this game, especially through this rough winter. Race replays, live streaming racing, and it makes you eligible for the many, many handicapping contests we have at Capital Off-Track Betting. Seth, Racing Across America is up next. Who do you have on?
Jeremy Plonk, horseplayernow.com and Countdown to the Crown. We'll be looking at the 3-year-old action from this past weekend, which was fast and furious. Also going to be joined by Tom Bellhouse from West Point.
Tom, tell him I said hello.
Twilight Eclipse wins over the weekend. Could be headed to Dubai. We'll get a little update on some of their other horses. They have one entered in the Risen Star this week.
And I'll tell you what, the McDermott was a good, solid race. And I'll tell you, Twilight Eclipse was very, very good. I think his official margin was a length, but it was a very, very convincing victory. Say hello to Tom for me, an old friend. I wish him the best of luck at West Point Thoroughbreds. Up next, Racing Across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.